"Would you care for a drink, sport?" Bilious Jelly said. Mike suddenly realised he'd been staring into space, probably with his mouth wide open, for he didn't know how long. "Oh, he said. Then he remembered something that Jelly had mentioned at Jeff's ill-advised ski slope party. "You still got that Venetian canal up on the second floor?" Jelly looked startled, as though he was trying to work out how Mike would know about his secret canal. "You told me about it at Jeff's," he said by way of explanation. "You said you got the idea from Vegas, but Mrs. Jelly wasn't keen on the ducks." "Ah," said Jelly, wobbling his head back and forth. "Yes, I did tell you that, didn't I? The ducks have moved out, luckily. They made a dreadful noise. Yes, we still have it. We have a gondola for sale if you're interested. Come and have a look." Mike must have looked as reluctant as he felt, because Jelly added, "Oh, come on, please. I have a bar up there." Mike looked at Mr. Jelly. He looked so pathetic. Mike realised he felt sorry for the man. "Oh, all right," he said, sighing. "One drink. And only on the condition we take a ride in your gondola." Bilious nodded, his jowls wobbling like Jelly. "Yes, of course," he said, smiling. "Of course. Follow me." What the hell was I thinking of? Mike thought as he followed Jelly out of the room and up the staircase. The two of us in a gondola. The bloody thing is bound to sink. He thought about doing a runner. The fat bastard would never be able to catch him. But he really did want to check out that canal. At the top of the stairs was a large oak door. Jelly, puffing with exertion, gestured to it. "Could you open it, sport? I am too tired." Mike opened the door and found himself in a church. "What the actual fuck?" Mike said. "Oh, the canal is on the other side of the church, sport," Jelly said. "Christ!" Mike breathed, looking in wonder at the high-vaulted ceiling of the church on the second floor of the Jelly house. "I mean," he said, realising that blasphemy probably wasn't entirely appropriate, "bloody hell! How big is your house? And why the hell, why on earth do you have a church on the second floor of your home?" Mr. Jelly scratched his head, looking genuinely perplexed, as though the thought had never occurred to him that people would think that was odd. "Well, for the same reason I have a canal on the second floor, I guess, sport. Because I can," he smiled. "You know, I don't know how big my house is. I've never been in all the rooms." Mike closed his mouth, realising he was looking gormless again. "I can see why you want to downsize now," he said. "What? Oh yes, the yard sale. We did say it was for that reason, didn't we? Come on, the canal and the bar is through here." Mike picked his way through the pews, each with a strange lace doily on the back of the seat. As he passed through the church, Mike grabbed one of the doilies from the back of a pew and stuffed it in his pocket. He had no idea why, but he did it. Jelly wobbled his way ahead and didn't notice, or if he did, he didn't say anything. At the other end of the church, Jelly pushed a door open and Mike gasped as he found himself looking at what looked very much like a fried chicken takeaway. Generic, not from Kentucky or anything. "Bloody hell," he said. His mouth was open now. Mrs. Jelly was behind the counter. That also didn't make sense. Wasn't she outside? In the garden? "Would you like a bucket of chicken, dear?" she said. Jelly nodded his head vigorously. "Not you, idiot. Him," she pointed at Mike. Mike just stared back. "You," he said. Then he coughed, shook his head, and said, "I think I need to sit down." Jelly nodded as though he completely understood and showed Mike to one of the red plastic chairs. "Sit here, sport," he said. "I'll get you some chicken." Mr. Jelly waddled over to the counter and whispered something in Mrs. Jelly's ear. She nodded and rummaged around under the counter. A couple of minutes later, Bilious Jelly came back with a bucket of chicken and a glass of water. Elsa Jelly came round from the counter. Mike noticed she was wearing an apron with Jelly's chicken embroidered on it. He decided that things were definitely getting odder. "Here you are, dear," Mrs. Jelly said, handing him a small white tablet. "Take this. It will make you feel better." Mike put out his hand automatically and almost popped the pill into his mouth. He stopped, just in time. I don't think so," he said. "What the hell is it?" "Vitamins, dear," Elsa Jelly said. Next to her, Bilious Jelly smiled, a rather unsettling, leering smile that made Mike feel very uncomfortable. "You have to take your vitamins, sport," he said. "They'll make you feel much better." Mike looked at the pill in his hand. Bilious handed him the water and nodded encouragingly. "Go on, sport," he said, grinning. "You'll feel much better soon."